do it. Kick it. Okay, party people in the house.
Pump up the volume.
Thank you for joining me tonight. Tell 10 to Tell 10, Sack Radio Clyde, Back Your Side, Back Celtic Community Radio, and Hail Media and all other Celtic fan outlets. Yes, it's a way forward for the future. Soon there will be no radio snide phone-ins left for anybody to phone in. Blank them, they're no good at all. The days are numbered for radio phone-ins run by people with an agenda other than Celtic fans. Celtic fans who are now able and equipped with the likes of the social media and the platforms we've now got to vent our spleen, to jam the propaganda from the Sevcofants. So the Sevcofant media can be jammed at all levels, from writing blogs, magazines, newspapers, fanzines, books, everything's out there, even crackpots talking a lot of flannel juice and gibberish. But listen, we're going to get a good gentleman on here, hopefully we can get him first up here, and you'll probably know him as Mr. CQN, Celtic Quick News.
Hi, Tommy.
Hello.
Hi, Tommy.
Yes, Paul, how you doing?
I'm well. How's you?
Not bad, mate, not bad. Thanks for joining us tonight.
No bother at all.
And so, Paul, tell us a little bit about yourself. You're the well. Tell us about yourself. Then, what do you run for anybody that doesn't know you?
Well, for anybody that doesn't know me, I run a blog called Celtic Quick News. Celtic Quick News has been on the go since 2004. So, although we were by no means one of the early Celtic websites, we were one of the early blogs, and introduced the concept to quite a lot of Celtic fans. And it's a busy place now. It's 8 years old. It's gone from strength to strength, and we get thousands of people on it every day, thousands of readers on it every day, Tommy, and on an average day, in the region of about 1,000 comments contributed to the site. So it's quite a busy site, and it's, of course, all Celtic stuff or Scottish football in relation to Celtic, or life in general in relation to Celtic.
Now, for yourself, Paul, you're a Celtic fan. What was your first early memories of Celtic, taking you back to what sparked this interest in our beloved team?
goes way back, Tommy, and to be honest with you, it goes so far back. I have trouble describing it all. My grandfather died when I was 4, and he was the first one that took me to see Celtic. So the memories from that age kind of all blends in together. You know, you went to see Celtic. You know, you get quite excited about it. I was born in May 1967, which was quite a momentous year. I was born on the day we won the league, in fact, at Ibrox that year.
You were born in 67? You were born in May 67? Wow.
I was. Aye. Back then, it was all about Jimmy Johnson. You know, Jimmy Johnson was absolutely it. And as a young lad, I had a big thing for Jinky. Of course, a big thing for Kenny Dalglish, because Kenny, up until I was 10 years old, Kenny was just an immense football player and he was playing with my team. And he never stopped being an immense football player. He went on to do one or two things after he left Celtic, I'm told. But it was fantastic. He was a fantastic player. Big memories I've got. We won the Scottish Cup against Dundee United. I remember bits and pieces of that game, but I've got really clear memories of the Airplay Cup final in, I think, 1975, when I would have been about 8. So at that stage, you know, you're beginning to form better reactions, or better connections to the players and to what's going on, and to the run up into the game and things like that. And I remember that cup final very, very clearly. Remember the day in 1975 that we stopped being champions, because that was the first day in my life that Celtic weren't league champions. And I was kicking a ball about at the end of some garages with some pals of mine, and we were all sitting there because we'd not got 10 in a row, and we were all sitting there talking about what age we would be when Celtic won 10 in a row, because although we'd lost the league, this was a one-off. You know, we were going to go on and win 10 in a row from now, and I was going to be 17 when Celtic won 10 in a row, such as what we think when we're 7 or 8 years old.
And that was the year when Jock Stein had a car crash, and God rest him, just dearly departed and buried today. Sean Fallon took over us for that year. You can remember that year then, Paul, yeah?
I do. I remember it. I remember it very well. I remember Sean being manager. Now, again, and Tommy, I've not looked this up, so I may get the season wrong that Sean took over when Jock was in hospital. But I spoke to Sean about 3 or 4 months ago. Spent some time with Sean and his wife Myra, lovely people. And I asked him about that because when I was, 7 or 8 years old, Sean was manager, the team were doing quite well. Jock came back in after a long number of months out, and of course we lost the league. And I remember as a young lad thinking, maybe if Sean had stayed in control, he stayed in charge of the club, that we would have won the league that season. And I was too young to really put that in any context, because I was around about 8 years old. But when I spoke to Sean a few months ago, I put that to him. I said, look, would you like to finish the season? Would you like to manage the club? Would you like to have had your own scope to put your own influence on it? And it absolutely stopped me in my tracks. He says, look, Jock Stein, the manager, Jock Stein knew far more about football than I ever did. He was, you could see Sean, although he was a contemporary of Jock's and he'd been Jock's captain way back in the early 50s, you could see the complete and utter respect for Jock that Sean had. And he says, I was picking the team and I was telling him what to do. He says, but I was going into the hospital and I was explaining all this to Jock before the weekend, before giving my team talk and picking the team, and Jock would say, look, what about this, a thing about that? He would just fill me full of ideas. He says, I would take those ideas through anything, and this is literally what Sean says to me, anything good I did was inspired by Jock. Now, you've heard how humble he is from absolutely everybody that's known him this week, and that's just another wee example of it. I'm there saying, wouldn't you have liked to have had the opportunity of finishing the season as Celtic manager? And he absolutely stopped me in my tracks and said, look, pretty much this was the Jock Stein show, and I was there to make sure that I did my bit in the Jock Stein show. And of course that's very self-effacing, and it's hugely underplaying the enormous role that absolutely everybody else else who was at the club tells you that he played in the successes that we had, and that's borne out in legions this week. But it says just why Anna Stotso has been so humble.
A tremendous servant, not only as assistant manager in our greatest ever period, but in a period before that when we had almost as dark a days as us who remember back in the late 80s, early 90s. But Sean, when he played, we won, he was there for the Coronation Cup, played alongside Jock Stein, he was there for the 7-1, but there were dark days prior to when Jock came, and what a servant he was, Sean Fallon, and it was tremendous to meet him, like you said there, Paul. Jumping forward, if we can, to for the times when Celtic were in the doldrums, and so from the year when Sean took over and then Jock left, before, just so in that period between up to the Voodoo Economics period in '86, so for transformation with Bill and McNeil, how did you view yourself as a Celtic fan in that intermediate period? If you don't, that'll be so you'll be coming up for what, almost a teenager during that period then, would you be, Paul? Yeah.
Well, that's right. I think that's when your formative years as a football fan. And to be honest, Tommy, it was a great time to be a Celtic fan. A Celtic team under Billy McNeil in the early 80s was a great Celtic football team. We won the league 3 times in 5 years. We won the league against really good competition as well, because you knew that if you beat Aberdeen, I remember Celtic Park with 19,000 people in it one day playing the champion Aberdeen. So it was a third full, but we all knew that this was a huge game, and we won 1-0. We knew it was a huge victory. So at that stage, Aberdeen were one of the finest teams in Europe, and Dundee United were not far behind them on their heels. But we won by playing great attacking football, and it was what we were born up with. If you look at, as I'm sure you have, you look at the Lisbon film, a film in a Lisbon game, which is just an enormous display of attacking football. That heritage spilled straight into the Billy McNeil era, because that was Billy's mantra. That's what Billy believed in, and he had Davy Provan on the wing. And it doesn't matter what you think of Davy Provan as a commentator. He was a fantastic winger. He really was. He was an absolutely fantastic winger. Indeed, yeah. You'd Frank McGarvey, Charlie Nicholas, and God help me, let's not get involved in Charlie Nicholas stories. But when I was an early teenager, this guy was immense. He was absolutely immense. He scored 50-odd goals in his last season with us. He had skill, the predator instinct. He could shoot with either foot, he could score with the head. He didn't have, and this is something that I've learned watching more recent Celtic teams, he didn't have work rate. He was very much a guy who depended on the likes of a Provan or a Doyle or
making
or
something happen for him. Yeah. He was good. He was good at setting himself at times, but I hear what you're saying. A lot of the times it was laid for him on a plate by, like you say, Provan or Doyle or something like that, McCluskey even.
And when he left Celtic, I think that realisation found him out, because he didn't lose his ability. He retained his ability when he went to Arsenal, but the game in England was just so much more mature than it was in Scotland, and you needed to work. They understood that they couldn't have a skillful number 10 type player. They put a number 10 type player that worked his backside off, and would run and would drag and would be up for the physical challenge even then 30 years ago. Ultimately, he came back to Aberdeen. Now, I remember, as you may, Tommy, the cup final, was it 19?
Yeah, I was there, yeah. Then he came back to us straight after that, didn't he? Yeah.
The 20 penalty kick. Now, at that stage, we were all, I certainly was, and I believe the majority of Celtic fans were all wanting Charlie to join us, because there was an expectation that he would join us after that game. Yeah. Aberdeen were a better team. Charlie Nicholas played better football than the men that were playing for Celtic.
Paul, just stay there a second, my friend. I'll phone you back, because with this Skype, when this call starts to deteriorate, it's better just to hang up and start again. So stay there and I'll be back on you, right?
Right, okay.
2 seconds. Right, yep. Skype, once it starts to deteriorate, you're better just hanging up and we get going for it again. Gets the quality back up there, hopefully. Brilliant,
sorry.
Paul. Yeah, brilliant. Sorry, can't crack on you go, mate. Where were you?
Hi, when Charlie came back back to Celtic in the 1990s, we were going nowhere, and he went nowhere with us. He was a shadow of the player he'd been before. He was a shadow of the player he was even at Aberdeen.
Yeah.
And that was a hard shift to be a Celtic.
Before that period, I was taking us up to the part before the Souness crackpot came, and that was the last kind of innocent golden period of Scottish football. So from your lifetime, you were born in the month where you were born on the day we won the league or the cup that in '67. So you were born in our greatest month. You know, we won the big cup, and so you'd known Celtic winning league after league, and then obviously the decline was rather gradual, and then it totally fell off a cliff when Souness came, because from that point we only won the one in '86 and the one in the centenary, and then we went into a dark hole of voodoo economics that overtook us, and the cheating scandal that is still to be sorted out. But at that point, for yourself and your personal life, where were you, if you don't mind sharing that? If you don't, tell me where to go. But taking us into that bit, so you'd be a teenager then, around about the mid 80s then, would I be right in saying that, yeah?
That's right. I was a teenager in the mid 80s, and I was studying. I was at uni from 84 to 88 up in Stirling. So it was different. You know, a social network to get to the games, but living up in Stirling, you had to get a train or a bus or whatever, and it was always a wee bit more problematic. One day, I remember missing one game because I was stuck in a bus behind an Orange Walk in the village of Alva in Clackmannanshire, believe it or not. So you have these wee challenges when you're stuck away there. But again, it was a great time. The Celtic fan, we were playing great football back then. Davy Hay came, and Davy Hay changed the recipe a wee bit from Billy. I remember Davy Hay. I remember Frank Connor coming to Carfin and talking to the Carfin Celtic supporters club round about then, and he says, look, things needed to change from the way we were doing things under Billy to the way that things subsequently happened under Davy Hay. We needed to become a whole lot more defensive minded, and that might have been true, and certainly that was one of Davy Hay's policies, but we were still playing great football, and with fantastic strikers throughout that period, and none better than Brian McClare.
And under Davy Hay we were cheated with the fiasco at Rapid Vienna after we defeated them fair and square. That was under Davy Hay, wasn't it? Aye.
That's right. I mean, again, it was a good Rapid Vienna team. It was a great night in Celtic Park. The 3-1 game, was it 3-1 we beat them at Celtic Park?
3-0, aye, 3-0, and it was overturned because they'd won 2-0 in the first leg, and then they cheated us, didn't they, with that player going down like it was.
And I went down to Old Trafford for the replayed match, and there was the expectation that we would do the same again. Now, not a single one of us thought that we were going out of Europe that night. We'd beaten them well. We were all up for it. We were going to fill Old Trafford and, you know, intimidate them again and get the same result. And of course, we were up against a better team than we actually knew of. Rapid Vienna knew that they'd been intimidated, knew that they were up against a decent team themselves, and came prepared for it.
Something different, yeah, they did.
Got the breakaway goal.
You did, and I mean, it was cheated the way that happened. But passing on, I mean, because the big cheating moment was to come. I mean, moving on, so late 80s, early 90s. I mean, for me, I did a bunk about 2 months after little Judas scored that goal. I went down and just before my 18th birthday to London. That was one of the reasons, but other reasons that it was Thatcher's Britain, and it was tits up for an 18-year-old up here, you know. So I went to seek my fortune down in London halfway through the 9 in a row, and taking us for those the cheating 9 in a row, and for the Celts for change. Where were you around about that period, and what's your take all on that part, if you don't mind me asking as well, Paul?
Well, I was just a normal fan during that entire period. I didn't play any part whatsoever in the Celts for Change movement. I knew all about it, obviously, and supported it. And looking back on what these guys achieved back then, you can never overestimate the importance of the job that the Celts for Change people in the Celts for Change campaign did for our football club, because we may not have been here. Believe me, if we'd have gone into administration, we wouldn't have been sitting in the bottom league with half the same football squad. We would have been hugely humiliated. We would have lost what scarce resources we had. The likes of Paul McStay, John Collins, and Tom Boyd and the likes, and these guys would all have been sold off by the administrators within a day. But it was dark times. Now, back then, though, I had a mantra, and this ultimately led to me starting out Celtic Quick News. Rangers were spending more money than they were bringing in, and it was a policy of what they were doing was they were bringing a player in for £2 million, selling it for £5 million, spending more in any individual season than they were actually bringing in, but they were able to trade their way out of it. It doesn't matter, words like cheating or not paying tax. None of this really matters if you're strategy an inflating asset. In other words, you depend on the football players, the value of the football players inflating dramatically from one season to the next to allow you to sell and pay your bills. You will crash and burn. And my brother and myself spent hours talking about this. Their day will come. This has got to crash and burn. This has got to come to an end. And we knew nothing about tax payments, or we knew nothing about any of the things that subsequently happened to them. But quite simply, money in equals money out, then you survive as a football club. Money in is less than money out, then your day will come and you will ultimately crash and burn, and that's what happened. But listen to all that, it seems logical now. We all know that it's true now, but put yourself back in the middle of their 9 in a row, and we knew when it was 2.5 in a row. We knew when we were losing the third season that this was an almighty period that we were in for. There was no real expectation that we were going to win that league, that we were going to win the next league, or that we were going to be able to get it together for 3 or 4 seasons down the line. We knew that we were impoverished, we were being out-scouted, outplayed, outspent, out absolutely everything, and really, God knows where the recovery from that situation actually came from, because nobody could see it. I was speaking, my brother and I were saying, ultimately, this strategy will crash and burn. When it crashes and burns, we'll have the opportunity to actually get back and play competitive football again. But of course, Fergus came in, Wim Jansen came in, and we won that league. And really, we'd no right to win that league, because we were playing with players that put your mind back to 1997. Wim was brought in late in that summer. Jock Brown did a whole lot of scouting and recruiting for the club that summer. Jock Brown's never done a job like that in his life. He didn't really spend a whole lot of time at Celtic, never mind anybody else. And it wasn't a happy place for people to be in and around the club. We lost Tommy Burns that summer as well. So even now, I have no idea how we won that league.
I know. I mean, especially when they gave Bobby Tate as a wee request for his last game that he could be there for Ian Durrant, and it was wonderful. Well, it wouldn't have been that wonderful if it went the other way, but the extra 5 minutes that shyster gave, it led to their downfall. But it could have went the other way. I mean, and that's the margins that we operated there, and we nearly threw it away the next day because we couldn't beat Dunfermline of all people, and we had to leave it to Old Harrow Brackpack. But moving forward, and obviously what happened at that point, because that was a key moment, alongside, as some people have mentioned, Jock Steins winning the European Cup, because at that point, when we stopped to 10 in a row for those cheats, then in a fit of hubris, Murray went on his £5 and £10, and that famous, the succulent lamb, he gathered all his close chums in the media and got them together and says, this was a defeat that we'll never face again. And he went hell for leather. From that point onwards, he got Dick Advocat in, and they threw the kitchen sink, and that was the downfall of them, because they went about 80 million in about 3 years, just went through the roof on his fit of peak. They lost the league, and I'd never want to feel this again. and that point really was the breaking point, because he had to use sophisticated tax avoidance measures to get the calibre of players in to do what he wanted to do, and that was to try and bring the big cup back, and it all fell flat on its ears, because what happened was when Fergus left, Dermot Desmond came in, and the financial prudence went out the window a wee bit. We brought in quality for the first time, and we matched them on and off the park, really, for the first time in terms of stadium. What point did you come in with the... on you go. What do you think of that point there, Paul? What do you think of that point in our history? Sorry, I'm saying.
Well, I think you're dead right. It's a lesson in humanity, really. You know, we've all got this ego about ourselves and about our place in the planet and our place in their families and their community and everything else. And David Murray's place was of the giver of great joy to the Rangers fans. You know, he was the guy coming up with the bling football players and all these trophies. And when he tripped and fell in season 97-98, he shouldn't have. You know, they bought Marco Negri, they bought Perini, a £4 million right back for Juventus. Spent ridiculous cash even in that season. But he tripped and fell. What's he going to do? Is he going to say, you know what, I'm fallible, I'm not the smart Alex I thought he was, or is he going to just come back to the bombast? And you're right, ultimately sowed the seeds of his own and his football club's downfall subsequently. But it kicked on for us then. Fergus had a terribly hard press from the media and ultimately from the Celtic support as well when he was in charge, but I think he done a wonderful job for us. I think that he was the man for the moment. He came in, he did the whole stadium thing, he put the league trophy back in the cabinet, and he walked back out the club without asking for a word of thanks from anybody, and he got his millions from it. I can't remember how many million he took away from the share issue of selling
35.
He did very, very well.
Yeah, indeed. And for yourself, getting up to date with yourself, so what year did you start Celtic Quick News, Paul?
Well, I started Celtic Quick News in July 2004. Now, we went to Seville in May 2003, and in July 2004, I'm driving to work one day listening to commercial radio, as we all did back then, and some journalist who will remain nameless utters the phrase, "Celtic fans all want to know, where's all the Seville money?" And I'd heard that for 12 months, and every time somebody spoke about transfers, it was, where's all the Seville money? As though there was some doubt as to where the Seville money was, as though there was some conspiracy to withhold the Seville money from the football club, or somehow there was a new biscuit tin emerging with 50 million quid worth of Seville money. Seville money was all accounted for in the company accounts. We lost £7 million in the Seville season. The Seville money went into the pockets of the football players, largely went into the pockets of the football players that got us to Seville.
Yeah, it went in previously too.
That's what happens in football now. We're not talking the days of the Lisbon Lions earning 45 quid a week or whatever it was, and you know, forever and a day needing to work for the rest of their lives. These guys earn millions of pounds out of Celtic. We spent 30 odd million pound on wages. We took in, I think, 50 odd million pound of toll. You pay your rates, you pay your electricity, you pay your tax, you pay the police, you pay all the other things, and we lost 7 million quid. Now, where's all the Seville money? If you're a journalist, if you get a responsibility of relaying the news, then you answer that question. You don't maliciously ask a question that is either misguiding your audience, which I think that question does, or that you could and should be out there researching if you're genuinely in any doubt about it. So I went into work that day and I was fuming. I had enough of the whole media treatment of Celtic. And I worked beside a Rangers fan, and I just wired into him about this whole where's all the Seville money thing. He says, look, why don't you start a blog? I didn't know what a blog was. And he sat beside me, got me into Blogger, got me to register an account in Blogger, and away you go. And that was it. So didn't write anything that night. I went away the next day and wrote up just a wee page just to have some, didn't tackle any particular subject, and the next day a couple of days later, Berry Peacock died, and I wrote a wee bit about Berry Peacock. And then a couple of days after that, got into talking money, and right from there, the first week of Celtic Quick News, it was, where's all this available? What happens to your season ticket money? What happens when you give, your £500 or whatever it is to the club each season? Where does that money go? How much does it cost to police? How much does it cost to pay the rates, the electricity? How much are players taking out the club? What happens when the club pays £6 million for John Harrison, for a transfer for John Harrison? How do they account for that? And really, at that stage, and we all know these things now, and lots and lots of us talk about these things now, but at that stage, these matters were badly discussed and badly under-analysed. So
especially from by and from Celtic fans, because at that point, I mean, I don't know what the journalist was, no point in guessing, but they're all a game of deflection, because at that point, they were going through a period of austerity. Probably at that point, Murray was asking for 50 million and only get hit with $1 million. And then he did these voodoo economics tricks, selling off the catering and everything that wasn't nailed down, or even anything that was nailed down was sold off and vultured out to whoever. And that was at the point they were going through the austerity. So instead of dealing with the problems that his own team, I would hazard a guess it would be Darrell King or Train or somebody like whoever it was in the media.
I wouldn't even want to give these people a name check on it.
No,
to be honest with you.
No, well, I can say these names now because they have now flown they're no longer part of the media. One's shown his true colours, and the other one's waved the white flag and sailed off to Hurricane Wifey sometime down the line. But anyway, like you say, don't let's not talk about them. But that's what the prime thing that really got my goat was how they could lie and deflect, and instead of dealing with the real issues. So I mean, if the journalists at the time did the real issue and stuck with the real story, i.e. how Murray ran up 80 million of debt within a few short years, 12 million in the three worst strikers in England, Tor, Andre and Flo, and then all the rest of the wasted money, and then the voodoo economics tricks, and how, I mean, why was the media not picking up all this up back at the time instead of deflecting and asking, where's Celtic's money? And so, brilliant. So that was 2004, July 2004, and that was, did you call your blog Celtic Quick News from that time, Paul? Yeah?
I did.
And so, how did it evolve from 2004 and just on Blogger, but just on straightforward Blogger, took it from there?
What I did was I talked about the accounts for about 3 weeks solid, and explained as best I could. And you get to a point eventually when you're explaining something that new people come in and you start to look what you explained the previous week. So I'd done the accounts, analysed it, explained, asked hundreds of questions, and I was only looping now. So I'd sat down one Saturday morning, hadn't talked about football at all money I talked about. Sat down one Saturday morning and written up look, thanks very much, hope you enjoyed it, hope you learned something, take care and mind and read your accounts next time they're out. Just a sign-off thing. And we were playing Falkirk that day, and I thought, look, maybe I'd just talk a wee bit about the Falkirk game. So instead of signing off, I talked a wee bit about Falkirk. I never talked about football, I've never written about football in my life, but says, Falkirk, I can't remember what the hell I said, but just talked something about the game. And all of a sudden, people come in, start commenting on the game and about football, and it moved from there. And I realised I didn't need to restrict myself to talking about the accounts, which was really what I wanted to do. I wanted to come in and explain the accounts and then just disappear again, and I could talk about football a wee bit. And so I did that, talked about football, and of course we talked about anything. We talked about everything and anything, from the songs debate, which really, really wears me down sometimes, and money, of course, the SFA, our fair treatment in Scotland, the fair treatment in Scottish society, and by the Football Association if it ever happened, and anything else appropriate to the Celtic community.
And it's brilliant because it's what we need to take us away from reading the Daily Rancid or the Scum newspapers, and these people who have got propaganda missions, who are really working against our club. And the only way to do it, I mean the club, it's run by the fans. I mean, okay, we've got the temporary custodians are there just now, but reality is that the fans, you and I, and other people listening, have been here for decades. 30, 40, 50 years, 60 years. People who'll give their money and will go, everywhere Celtic go, they'll go there, and whatever we do, then the club comes on the back of that for whatever way, to commercialise or whatever. But it's fan led, and this one is done for the pure reason and the good reason of, well, we're being lied to. Like your mission away back there was, well, just like my mission was a couple of years ago. I mean, I came into it just last few years doing the stuff because, well, I was sick of being patronised when I phoned through the radio stations or, laughed at, or there's Crazy Tommy, and they wouldn't answer. I didn't care what I would get called. It was just I wanted an answer, or just if I put a question to it, but then you would cut you off. And so slowly but surely, I mean, this is the way Celtic fans have got to take it, and that's the way we're taking it, and more people who are doing it, God willing, is to join this forward.
When I started it, I said, look, the mission statement is to allow Celtic fans to gain control of the media agenda on the football club. And we didn't have any control whatsoever back in 2004, but any news organisation that thinks that they can roughshod over Celtic fans now just aren't business anymore, because we do control it. We're a lot better informed, we've got a lot more outlets, we have control over our own media. Every now and again I meet a Celtic fan who doesn't read Ed online, who doesn't listen to Ed online, and who buys one of the tabloid newspapers and listens to the phone-ins on the radio on the way home. They're fear and fear off them now. They really are. Fear and fear off them now. And you've got to go look for these guys instead of finding, as it was 10, 15 years ago, where that was the only way that Celtic fans get any information about their club.
Hey, have you got something to do just now, Paul? Are you busy just now? Because we can get you back.
I've got to go now. I've got to be somewhere at 7 o'clock.
No problem. Listen, I've took you over your time. But listen, what we'll do, we'll get you back if you're available sometime next week or whenever. We'll get you back on and we'll have another chat if you don't mind, Paul. Is that okay?
No bother at all, Tommy. Catch up then. Take care.
God bless. Thank you for joining us, Paul. Thank you. Hail.
Bye.
Yep, he's a busy man. So that's Paul Brennan there. That's the first part of an interview. We'll chew the cud with that good brother in. And we'll take a wee break here. Right, 2 seconds. And we'll be back in with it. You can join the show on 0141 416 1888. 416 1888. And you can give us a one-ring sting and I'll phone you straight back. And we'll just, let's see.
the time. You were singing no surrender. You're the bottom of mankind. You never learned your lesson. You're as rancid as before. It's no surprise, like a fart. You linger on, we are human. They are zombies.
Brain dead zombies.
Hearts are beating. Their eyes are cold.
Yes, you can listen to the Bull Billy Noel. Till 10 to till 10. The Bull Billy Noel is playing in Wishaw this Friday night in aid of Tommy Burns' skin cancer. Billy Noel, it's on my timeline, I retweeted it. Till 10 to till 10, get along there to Wishaw. Billy Noel and the Quadrophenians, support your side, sack everybody else who's got an agenda. And you heard it there, Paul, in 2004, right at the point when Murray was going arse over tit with his Voodoo Economics programme on EBTs, 111 between the Murray International Holdings, between the directors, between him and also, yeah, he was the main beneficiary. $6.5 million for David Murray, and he claims that he didn't take a penny from Rangers. But hey, with Voodoo Economics, you don't have to take a penny for Rangers, you can just make it vamoose into MIH Holdings, Murray International Holdings. And that's it, that's how you do it. Then he can claim, I didn't take a penny from Rangers. No, of course you didn't, no. You used wonderful Voodoo Economics. And it all came from Murray International Holdings. Regardless, 6 million. 6 million unpaid for the taxman. Just when the country needs some money, when it's going through austerity measures like you would never believe. We've got 6 million outstanding, owed by Mr. David Murray, and he's got a knighthood as well. He got a knighthood for his Voodoo Economics works. He got a knighthood there. Look how the reward. Look at the capitalist system. How the reward, wonderful reward, Take £1 billion, help break the banking system with your Voodoo Economics, with your fellow capitalists. Break the banking system. But it's alright. Here's a wee knighthood. Oh, I could crush a grape. Yes. He can disappear to his little vineyard to crush his grapes. So it's till 10 to till 10. Right, what have we got here? Right, let's see. We'll just add a guy here. Let's see. We could phone. Who do we want to phone then? We could phone David Murray or the Parrot. Who do you want? You want to phone David Murray or the Parrot? Here's your options: the Parrot, David Murray. Who are we getting? Hello, Mr. Murray.
It's Mr. 1690. How are you?
You like my 1690 number? See, it was 50-50. I had in my head I was going to phone Mr. Murray to question him about the 6 million, and I saw your text there, so I thought, I'll go for yourself, mate, and you got the 1690 treatment.
Here, listen, while we're on the record, your scam, I need a bit of backup here. Obviously, I met yourself and your lovely boy and your wee pal from Barcelona, and he's the blonde Polish lady, and that scam Larkin. That scam Larkin didn't believe I was talking about Harvey Nichols to them.
Mate, listen, the guy looked at the best of times anyway. He's went home, I think, with hypothermia. He went back to Barca yesterday, and for the last 2 days he was doubled up with a cold, coughing and spluttering, and he looked like an extra. And he looks like an extra out of Schindler's List. God love him, he's a cracking guy, right? But he looks like an extra out of Schindler's List anyway, right? And there he's stoning, right? He's stunning. I left him. I phoned your good self. I left him in the queue, my wee boy. He just, as soon as I went to half time, he was like, I need to go and get something to heat me up. I was like, on you go, batter in. And so I left him there. That's when I phoned yourself. So as he's walking past me, I'm standing, just to introduce myself to the mad scamp who I'm talking to the now. So as I'm putting to the listeners, I goes, Albert, my boy's there, we do the introduction. My mate is suffering for hypothermia, right, and he's eating a Celtic Scotch pie, and you're trying to sell him, have a coffee and Harvey Nicks. The guy was shuddering and freezing to death, and you're trying to sell him Harvey Nicks. What are you all about?
Oh, yeah, you know me. For cash and carry, Alex Salmon, I always try to sell the place.
Oh, here, they walked about Edinburgh all day, and then he came back the next day, and he spent the next day until he flew away yesterday, all doubled up. My moss was just lying there, no well, coughing and spluttering.
Probably caught fleas in that village of a castle tea, you know what I mean? All that salt and sauce shite floating about there, only good for you through there.
Here, I listened to you, had problems on my thingy, but I was meant to pull you up on the homeboys the other night. You pulled a boy up saying, oh, he's no for Glasgow, for Bishop Briggs. You can get to Glasgow quicker than your Chateau Delay. For Bishop Briggs, you can make the tune quicker.
A hackney and guys like yourself will take a boundary charge the size of Australia if you live in Bishop Briggs. So
do you know how they don't when you pass that hole in the wall? As soon as you pass that hole in the wall, like East Bride, double treble fare, you're off your nut. You're busy casting up somebody, man. The point is, you cast it up to somebody.
See that wall?
Aye.
Right, now that was actually part of the Stuart family castle estate.
Ah.
The bottom bit where like special school is or special needs school is, my granddad actually built that wall when he come back for the Second World War.
Ah. Built by a Lithuanian. Built by a Lithuanian.
A mountain punter. And we ended up living in a house across the road for that. So it's a small world.
There's a history. Look at the history lesson. Regardless, if we're getting a history lesson and you pull somebody up for being outside Glasgow and Bishop Briggs, you're off your nut. As I say, find a taxi driver of Ilda Pute. It's about distance.
Many times you've been on holiday and somebody's went, oh, you feel it, and they go, I'm from Glasgow, and you swear about to say Cumbernauld, and you hit them with a black pudding across the cooking. No having it, see.
But I know, but the point is, as the crow flies, as the taxi driver goes, you can get to Glasgow Town quicker for Bishop Briggs than Castlemanky, and that's fact.
Oh, yeah,
that's a fact. No, we're not having. Listen, the north end of the town, you're flying down that Springburn Road, you're in the high street, and if you're coming for Castlemanky, you're not even past the Tory Glen Asda. That's the bottom line. And you're casting up.
By the palm trees and the jet skis. Don't you be getting jealous over there, you scum.
We don't need to buy them, we steal them, we hot buy them.
But listen, anyway, you're on serious matters, enough of this rambling. I sent you the text last night of the Mark Bailey and Alex Thompson. Brilliant. Did you listen to it?
Oh, aye, the whole lot, mate. I was fascinated. What beautiful analysis of the two of them, yeah. And it's wonderful to hear them. I mean, what's your take on it, caller? What's your point, caller? Since you sent it to me.
Well, I tell you what, I thought it was quite enlightening that the bold Chico Young was helpful to Mark Bailey over it all. But I found it quite interesting, the fact that some stuff was leaked from Mark Bailey. But I've got other people who they might be listening. Actually, I know somebody who works in that sort of area. I can't give it away, and he tells of working near the BBC Sports desk and saying it's not a very nice place if you're a Timmy. Put it that way.
Well, that was now, or that was during all the stuff that's happening, or that's been forever?
That was sort of up to recently, but no, I think it was very interesting to hear Mark Bailey and Alex Thompson's review of the Scottish press and the Glasgow editorial standards of how instead of running a true news story. I mean, if you get faith in a newspaper, Tommy, you buy a paper.
That's it.
But if we know they're being gerrymandered, so what's the point of now? A lot of people might buy the Celtic View or not buy it, but the Celtic View's not going to write a bad story about Celtic, a truthful story, so a lot of people don't buy it for that reason. And I think that's going to be the thing about and quite rightly so. Celtic's still going to put out a product that's bad for themselves, but a national newspaper's job, whether it be a broadsheet or a local paper's job, is to tell the news, whether it's good news, bad news, or great news. So I think it's very interesting the fact that guys like Thompson could come out and say that they're looking forward to the 29th of January, which will hopefully be the day that, which to happen will happen. But
do you think we're going to get closure on it? Do you think we'll get anywhere near closure?
Well, I'll ask you this, Tommy. I mean, if I'd have said to you 5 years ago that Gordon Strachan and Martin McGee would have been the Scotland management team, you'd have burst out laughing at me. Because somebody like Strachan, although he's great for it, and I'm not a big Scotland fan, but he's great for the job, but he doesn't tick the boxes that are required for the Scottish criteria doing the right thing. I mean, and to back this isn't a crackpot McDougall sort of thing. I listened to an article on BBC Radio Scotland a few months ago, and they were talking to a lad who was actually a rugby coach, and you wouldn't think of it in the rugby world. I know there's snobbery, etc., but he was actually saying the fact that he was told that even though he had his coaching badges, he wouldn't go further in the game for Scotland because he didn't tick the right boxes, as in he didn't say the right things, and they weren't comfortable with him. So it'll be interesting.
I think that Scottish football now, they're that much a busted flush. All criteria that he used previously has been torn up and thrown away. Because
I mean, this is the last bit, but putting Gordon Strachan, and this is trying to deflect any mishaps or any hassle sort of thing, But I think it's very interesting the fact that both Mark Daly and Alex Thompson were highlighting the fact about Cam Blogow's money still being outstanding, and he's still. I mean, and let's get it back to Glasgow. I mean, at least my beloved cities, George Michael Square's not getting turned into a bordello a Portaloos from a Lord Provost.
I thought you were looking forward to that. I thought you were looking forward to sitting there in a wee fancy cafe in the middle of George Square without all those idols. I was looking forward to all those idols and all those statues getting cleared away. That's what I was looking forward to. I was going to have my own celebration if they got rid of all that, but it's not happening. Shocking.
£50 million for water fixtures for the city, but it takes for a Lord Provost to be caught in a compromising position for the city to see sense.
Aye, well, but what's your?
It's only £5 million of that was actually getting spent in George Square. £10 million getting gerrymandered to pimp up the exclusive area around it.
Pump up the province's arse, you were going to say there, aye?
Oh yeah, it's a lot of Red Boys, £10 million, Chief. But
10 million, I thought you get a lot there. I know. Is there enough to maybe that's why they redesigned the Merchant City to get as many in as possible.
Yeah, that's how
we're going downhill here. Get back to the football. Get back to the football here. You're descending into bad ways here. You're shocking.
I know.
You're on for 5 minutes. You're on for a ban. That could be banning you again. You could be given banned here. Lifetime ban here for the Parrot.
No, but it'll be interesting to see what happens in the 29th, Tommy, because at the end of the day, the remit's in. There's a national coach now, and I think it's quite interesting that Campbell Ogilvy's still trying to pull the strings on the league reconstruction.
Aye. But when's the vote for that? When's the vote for where did they with this?
Well, there's all sorts of interesting things. I mean, obviously the gentleman who runs Airdrie United or whatever they're called now, they're quite an interesting. If you go to their website, somebody put something up on Twitter and it was linked to their website, and I had a look at it, and it actually talks about Airdrieonians' history until 2003 or whenever they went bust, and then it sort of continues on to. It's got the club's dates it was active as Airdrieonians in brackets, and now it's moved on. So it's going to be interesting. But I mean, obviously, if you can tweet out, because I'm sure you'll get a lot of followers than me, etc. So I know I've said to Chaz and Greco and yourself and all the boys. All my mates, they've got smartphones, but they don't do Twitter. But that hour and a half with Alex Thompson was excellent. It's that should have been on. You could put that on to national radio, Tommy.
The thing that I've got a problem with some of the stuff that they said was near the end, where, and I can understand Alex Thompson's and Mark Daly as well, when they were pushing the issue of the new company type thing, and you know, we've got to understand the Celtic fans that, well, they're always going to call themselves that, no matter what. I mean, they clubbed it. No matter what happened or what happens to them, they died. The only thing that would stop them believing that they're, you know, what they're believing is for them not to play any more football, for them not to be, for that place to be demolished in a Tesco. That was the only way that it was ever going to get into their thick heads that that club ceased to be. So now we're dealing with semantics here, but you're dealing with people who are severely deluded. So there's no really much point arguing. So I can see, I mean, their point. I'm sick of arguing it anyway. I don't even want to argue the toss about whether deed or no. Hold on, bro. Hold on. I don't want to argue the toss whether deed or no because weigh them, because it's. Do you know? Agree with me? It's pointless having a fight with them about it. They're dead and that's it. But they're never going to understand that.
I think that it's like anything, Tommy. It's the longer it's been on, whether it be the SFA fiasco, whether it's been the team that plays or used to play and this new team's formed. Quite rightly, so they're going to say one thing and the rest, but it's the rest of Scotland now that's saying another. And the team's performance in the third division, they've not won any friends. How Charlie Green got a trip to Australia, I don't know.
Is that where he is, in Australia?
Oh, yeah, you've been after the radar. The day after Celtic signed Tom Rogic, I apologise if I said the boy's name wrong, he went out to that club to try and set up a parent nursery club, like a feeder club for the Rangers football club. And I think it was 2 days ago, it come back saying the club released a statement saying, well, we won't be entertaining it. So Charlie flew the Emirates first class. What do I have? It's lovely. A nice wee glass of champagne and chicken and strawberry yogurt when you take off. And he's went out to Oz for a few days, and who's picked up the tab?
Oh, Sevco.
So if you've no phoned Stockbridge, you'd have probably come up with a can of Foster's.
I phoned them too early the other morning. I phoned them at 10 o'clock, and I just hung up. I could hear he wasn't ready for it, so I thought I could let him go.
No, but I think obviously the Celtic matters. I was at a game last night as well, and obviously I know you were there on Saturday. So
playing good football, isn't they?
We're just going to get geared up for what's going to happen in the against Juventus.
And they're playing shite. They're playing rubbish now, Juventus. And if we keep this form going, then we're going into the form team. What do you reckon? Then would you reckon we're going to keep pooping in Wanyama?
There's a lot of people say, Tommy. I mean, I've been lucky about most of the home games this year and a few away games. And I know a lot of people saying about Juventus, he's the stinking old lady and they're corrupting that. But for all the goodness, for all the God, how many years to play against referees who might not be taking bungs, but they're not doing us any favours. So I think it's like a game of Russian roulette at the moment in Europe, isn't it? You might get a great ref, or you might get a cash and carry ref, or you might get somebody in the middle. But I've not seen a good referee. And listen, I've not seen a good referee performance in Scotland in about 2 years in any game.
I hear you. Only 2 years.
Listen,
only 2 years.
No,
I'm thinking about 32 years. I've been going there since I've been 7 or 8.
I'm trying to be conservative, so I don't sound too cash and carry crackpotty. But Gary Hooper, it was lovely last night. I mean, I sent a tweet for the game. Everybody in that stadium last night was singing the boy's name. The Green Brigade, the fans and all that, so there might be...
Because I wasn't there. I was there when I took my mate, as I said, I don't know if you heard the show I did the other day there, but I'd actually took my friend from Barcelona, and if Mr. Lawwell or anybody at Celtic, and the people who, is it Mora? I think the last Mora, whoever works in the museum, and whoever facilitated for my good friend to go there, you helped repay 6 El Clasicos in just a half an hour. He helped me get out there for all the games with my wee boy for the 5-0, and in just one afternoon I walked round, I saw Neil Lennon say hello to him twice. When he was on the way to the press conference, shook the bold Australian boy's hand, and saw everybody else. I couldn't believe it. And my friend was just walking about with his jaw just dropped, and then he did the tour, and that was a big thank you to everybody at Celtic. But as soon as I left, right, the reason why I got to this bit, sorry, was when I left, there was a couple of boys for the huddle board, and they were getting their signatures after the thing with, as everybody did, you go to get autographs. We had to bowl before 2 o'clock, so we had about 20 minutes, and so we grabbed Hooper, But it was the way he drove away, and obviously the press conference leaked out later on that the bid had came out. We didn't know about it at the time, but it was the way he drove away. He did a cheeky wee wheel spin, and I thought I thought he'd be for the off. Do you think he's going to be for the off? Do you think he's going to stay? Do you think he's going to be here for the UV game? Do you think we need him?
I mean, I'm out of my comfort zone, Tommy. I just talk cash and carry. When it comes to football, all I'll say is, if he stays at Celtic, but players, I mean, what I'd like to see is, guys like Frank McAvenny have left us when we were in the shit before the 9 in a row started. You know, it was right at the start of it, and we were in trouble. This Celtic squad's probably the best squad I've ever seen. It's big and it's balanced, you know. And if Gary Hooper leaves, as long as we get the money for him, and if the boy wants to go to England, he can go to England. He's done us a turn. I don't have any regret or malice. If he stays to the summer, I'm over the moon. If he signs a new contract, I'm over the moon.
I reckon he's more going to go. Just the way I looked at it, the way he did that wee wheel spin away in front of us, I thought he's either in a bad mood or whatever.
But Tommy, I mean, if he's like me or you playing with Fulham, and there's a chance to come up to Celtic or I don't know, Aberdeen or something, if you're to Scotland and you're down there and you don't like it. He's had a good couple of years up here, mate. I mean, I remember when he came up for Scunthorpe, and I worked with a wee boy who was a Scunthorpe fan. We went, Stevie, you've got a great player there, you know, and he come up and had a few injuries at the start, and I was a bit unsure of it. And he come on and listen, he's been great in Europe, and alright, he said he's bad games like the other, but no, but it was great seeing him last night. He got a couple of good goals again, and the crowd were singing his name. So if that was his last game, I wish him all the best. He might be playing on Sunday against St Mirren at Hampden. Great. No,
it's just the way Neil Lennon and Celtic, right? They've played their cards, and I think it's the way Neil Lennon's come out and said, "Look, why don't you take the money and then leave in the summer?" Now, what I'm kind of guessing here, if he doesn't take the money, right, then Celtic are going to sell him they'll milk it for maybe another few days, and they'll sell him for 6, 7, 8 million, right? If we can get 8 or 9, it'd be brilliant, right? If what Celtic were angling to do is sign him on a contract, give him the money, and tie him on for another 3 years, then the bargaining chips become better. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's why Celtic were trying to get him onto that. That's Lennon's come out and said, why doesn't he take it? If he takes the money, it's free money, and then he can go and see about it in the summer. Now, but this boy...
But there's a transfer rumour come out today, Tommy, of a club close to your heart, Liverpool, and Bayern Munich, in for Suarez for £40 million.
So there you go. That boy could have his head turned, not by a Norwich, but a Liverpool. Now, if a Liverpool came in...
Brendan Rodgers, now, I don't know if Brendan Rodgers would get the full £40 million if he sells him. I know they're looking at selling the keeper, and they're looking at bringing in Jack Butland from Birmingham because the whole Birmingham squad's up for sale. But then you're looking at, there's a difference between Celtic selling for £6.5 million to Norwich, and then
go for £10 million for Liverpool.
Aye, they'll come up and say, look, we need them, there's 10. For the love of God, what they paid for Andy Carroll. I mean, Liverpool's a big team. They'll pay over the odds to get who they want. After Brendan Rodgers got his fingers burnt after Clint Dempsey went to Spurs,
And whoever was in the scouting system at the time couldn't have missed Hooper, because they two were the top scorers that season, one with Newcastle and one with Thingy. So he must have always been close to their radar, and they went for him for 35, and whatever they take Hooper for, if they go for Hooper. And that's what I reckon. I reckon Hooper would go for Liverpool. Who wouldn't he? Who wouldn't he take a Liverpool? I mean, you're talking the European Cup. They're the only team in Britain to win it 5 times.
I wouldn't say they're the team they were, right? And obviously they still are a European brand, but I'd rather see them going to Liverpool than going to Norwich.
Oh, of course, because at least it's a kind of step up. It might not be. It's not. I don't mean it's a step up for Celtic, but a neutral football. What we're dealing with is a neutral football player. Gary Hooper isn't a Celtic fan. Gary Hooper is a money fan. He's doing it for himself. He's a mercenary. Like every football player who walks through Celtic's doors. That's what we have to understand. But every pound you put in, 50 pence is going to a joint pool for the football players, isn't it? but then they're taking their money and they've got no allegiance. There's no many who've got allegiance now, and I don't expect Hooper. We've got to milk. If he's a mercenary, we've got to be a mercenary as well. So whatever money we can get, we've got to milk it. Do you agree? And sell him for what?
Well, all I'll say is there's 9 days left the transfer window, Tommy. Now, Celtic can leave it. I mean, he's an English player. He's got a UK passport. There's no work permits. We can sell him on the last day because the money will go up. And obviously, they were talking about it in the Homeboys on Monday night about it. The fact that, great, now, we've got Tony Watt, we've got Bangura, love him or hate him. We've got Miku, if needed.
Stokes.
We've got Lassad, we've got Stokes. It was great to see wee Stokes getting on last night. We're not the Celtic team that sold McAvenny in the early 90s when we had nothing.
God love that Lassad. That Lassad. I'm a Stoke.
Else up front. So we can afford to gamble in the sense. And listen, Hooper can sit there and purgatory. He's come out and said, if the boy come out and says, fair play him, he's not come out and says, I want to leave. He's keep his mouth shut, because if he doesn't say it and he gets his transfer, he gets his pay off a Celtic, he's like, thanks for your work. If he then gets down the road to saying, I want a transfer, he then obviously loses a loyalty payment for Celtic. So, you know, all I'd say is the unfortunate thing is, and I said it in the Homeboys, they didn't really probably agree with me, they were probably right, but the agent side of it, you just think with Hooper, if he went to Norwich or QPR and he'd say, well, listen, I'll come here, but if we get relegated, you'll have to sell me, which suits all the Premiership clubs. You look at the yo-yo clubs. I remember there was a boy who played for Barnsley the year they went to the English Premiership, and then they get relegated, Neil Redfern or something, and then he signed for the team that come up and they get relegated, then they signed for the following team. So these journeymen made a lot of money out of it, Tommy, you know, but listen, I mean, we're not in a bad state. We're bringing a couple of good players, hopefully, this transfer window, and it's just a case of, I've been very disappointed with Talk Sport, who I don't really listen to. They've just been like ambulance chasing Hooper out the door. I've been disappointed in Norwich because growing up as a Spurs is my English team, I thought Chris Houghton was a class act. I thought Norwich were a well-run club. And I find it quite ironic that at the time when Paul Lambert basically had to walk out the door because they wouldn't give Grant Holt a decent contract, they can now magically find £6 or £7 million to sign Gary Hooper.
I hear what you're saying.
So
the thing with Hooper, right? I don't think Hooper's indispensable, right? We beat Barcelona and he wasn't on the pitch, right? So, but he did score against Spartak. He does one thing well. He knows how to finish. He can finish. He's got other aspects of his play that maybe left wanting. That could be. I don't know if he can make him better or make him whatever. There's one thing.
No, I'll ask you one question. You've been to games this season in the chat room. I can't see obviously I'm on my phone. If I was to say to you, one of the two's got to leave, Hooper or Tony Watt, who would you let go?
Oh, you got to get rid of Hooper.
Well, there you go.
I would take anything over 2 million is a profit, right? So if we're already getting 5 million, we're doubled our money, right? So if that's in the bank, 5-6 million's in the bank. But we're not taking it as well. So
I'd like to see a sell-on clause. There's a sell-on clause. Scunthorpe gets some money back at it as well.
Right, but so then we should be saying 10 million, right? And then if somebody comes in and says we'll give you 8, there you go, right? Go. Because we're guaranteed the Champions League's money. There's only one thing, right? If we're serious, right, about getting to Wembley, we can't sell Hooper, right? But if we think we're just in it for a buzz and a sing-song and we might get to the best we could hope for is beating Juventus and then getting to the last 8, I mean, even then, that's like a Champions League final anyway, isn't it? If we get to the last 8, that's our Champions League final, the fact. We've got our Champions League final against Juve. But if we get another one out it, so I don't really think if we were serious about getting to Wembley, we could do it, but we need Hooper and we need a full squad, unless we sign somebody else in.
It's like deal or no deal, isn't it? You know, you've got your boxes and you've got the guaranteed money there. You sell Hooper, you'll get that money. If we don't sell him and we get to Wembley and whatever, here, listen, we're not going to go crazy, but if we get to Wembley, there'll be a lot of money coming into the club.
40 odd million.
You know. So
45 or 40, about 50 odd million the winner got last season, I think it was.
That's the way it goes, but here, listen, for guys who suffered like ourselves, Tommy, I heard Paul talking earlier, Paul Brennan, for guys like ourselves and Larkin and all the boys that suffered the 90s going to Parkhead, how good is this? You know, although we've been portrayed as being the beggars of Glasgow football teams, but now we're telling English clubs what we want to do.
It doesn't get any better. See what you're saying there? It doesn't get any better as a Celtic fan. They died last year. They're suffering. The remnants are suffering in the third division, and we are dining at the table of Barcelona. We played Barcelona, Inter Milan, and Juventus this season. Well, they played Peterhead, Annan, and Elgin. So that shows you, as a Celtic fan, we've never had it so good. So we should be milking this and enjoying it. And this, like I say, this is our Champions League final. We'll be playing Juventus in a few weeks. When all these crackpots in the media says, they'll never see a team playing in the Champions League for a good few years, never mind hitting the last 16, you know. And so, so like you say, all the people who have suffered the cheating 9 in a row that these bastards did, it feels good to be in this situation. Like you said, like talking about, having Hooper for 8 million, but I think, I've not been convinced 100% about Hooper. He's a good finisher and he's a good striker, and he's probably the best we've got. I mean, but I don't know. Maybe it's the Henrik Larsson thing for me. He's still no Henrik Larsson. He's a good striker. He's as good as we've had.
No, he's I thought Craig Bellamy. Craig Bellamy was a better striker than him.
Oh, aye. Craig Bellamy was. I know. If only we kept him longer.
Listen, and Hooper's great. He's a great player and stuff. I thought guys like Sammy's really come on to the game. Big Lassard's came from there. Technically, a really, really good player. So we're not dead door.
See the boy you just said there before, Lassard. He's my Mr. Celtic now. He's brilliant now. Giorgio Samaras. I mean, you wouldn't sell him for anything, mate, would you?
Advert?
No.
He's doing the Greek head and shoulders advert. He's on the pitch getting his hair done and all that. One of the old guys, David at 6 wheels up the Parrots Perts, where he hates him or hated him. He's alright now, he's converted. We were showing him it on YouTube and the smartphones last night. So that's well worth a look. But no, as I say to you,
but you wouldn't sell Samaras, wouldn't you? But Samaras, I mean, you asked me the question, what a thing, mate. Samaras or Hooper? I mean, you would keep Samaras on it every day of the week, wouldn't you?
Samaras is what's he done in Europe this year? He's scored so many goals for us. Teams don't know how to play against him in Europe. And European football suits him. It's not like the snarling Scottish Premier League where everybody's out to pick gated bits and have the wee sly digs and stuff like that. No, it's been great, so.
The only thing I would say, I mean, I've said there, sell Hooper, right, if the money came in, but looking as I did there, where I was sitting, obviously, see the angle where you're sitting and where I was at 4-1-1, I mean, the interchange, Hooper just stood almost as in the D, right? And then all about him, it was just fluid moving between Samaras and Commons, all about him. And as a target man, and as somebody who can finish and has got an eye for goal, and the link-up play between him, Commons, and whatever, it was a joy to watch, actually. I mean, the first half, was that as good as you've seen it? I mean, you've been to more games, obviously, than me. Was that as good as you've seen it, apart from the Barcelona game? But in the league, was that as good as you've seen it all season?
Last night was good.
Aye.
To be honest, last night was
better than Saturdays. Aye.
To be honest, again, the two games were probably as good as each other, Tommy. And listen, I'm not having a pop at end of the year. I know people's finances are tight and etc. But last night, this will sound ridiculous, but last night was a nice sort of game because the punters that can be there, and I know folk for Ireland can't make it midweek and all that, and the people for, the boys, I went up with some folk from Edinburgh last night, some folk from Dundee who travelled down, etc. But the hardcore were there last night and they were shouting Gary Hooper's name. Many of the ball bags that sit on Twitter and live 2 miles from the ground and never go to the games that spunk all their money in the boozer. It was Celtic fans there last night supporting the team. The Green Brigade getting at loud days ever supporting the team. And that's what it's all about, mate. And unfortunately, as you like to call them, the big game hunters are going to turn up when the Turin Mankey mob turn up. And they've never been in Parkhead in 30 years and they're walking about trying to get their feet and they've been in bed all day drunk. And
but see, this is the division, but look, hold on, right? that you're making a division when there doesn't need to be one there. No, I know, right? And I know, right, when 20,000 seats sit empty and it's -10 and the seriously hardcore and devoted are gone there, but surely to goodness, a Celtic fan is a Celtic fan, and whether he comes out as a big game hunter, right, or whether he puts in the mileage as you, we're still Celtic fans. We're still Celtic fans, we know. And everybody who was a season ticket, anybody who didn't get a ticket, right, and I've not got a ticket for myself, right, but I could have got one, but I didn't. So and it was open there. If you knew somebody was a season ticket, you could have got one. You could have got one. So I don't like a division, Stephen. Do you hear what I'm saying on the fact that
I'm not having a thought, but I mean, I prefer. To me, it's like going in the away games. You're there with a cash and carry mob. You're there having a scream, you know.
Of course.
You're there with the fans. But there's that weasel that wrote the ghost article for that paper we don't like, getting Joe Calzaghe tickets for the game.
Now see that. Now there's another side of it that, and hopefully, if anybody is from Celtic listening in, that if they're giving tickets to people who are corporate, I mean, it's okay if it's Celtic fans who are ordinary Joes and they just can't afford it and being big game hunters, but I've got a severe problem if it's big game hunters who aren't even Celtic fans. Now, this is a problem.
It's Italian connection for Calzaghe, isn't it?
Well, I mean, do you know anything on this? Is Celtic sold out a lot of tickets to corporate entities that
I don't know. I never get a chance to talk about it in the Homeboys the other night. There's an article getting put through in the Scottish Parliament at the moment that they're trying to get rid of the alcohol being drank at the corporate.
There's one rule for one, there's one rule for the other. Why should that be?
But they're also got a disclaimer against Asda and Tesco and whatever companies you want to say selling booze at Govan, Tory Glen, and the one at the Parkhead Forge.
Forge, aye.
So there's that bill going through at the moment. But no, you listen to, as I say, all I remember is last night and Saturday, it was two great atmospheric games of football.
Aye.
You know, and I've got my uncle's coming up from London, and hopefully if he can get up. And there was a chance I got a ticket from now. I lived up here for years, been to all the games, been to London, money's a bit tight, and he says, "Oh, I'd love to come up there." But well, I'll give you my ticket and I'll watch it in the boozer. Because I've been lucky, I've been to the Barcelona game, I've been to the Moscow game, I'll have to go on every week to, you know what I mean? I don't mind missing one and sitting in there. But I think it's, as you say, the people that's been touting these tickets for the outrageous sums of money, you know, it's just crazy, mate.
Yeah, I'm going to say as long as there are no Celtic fans, if it's a Celtic fan, then it's in die time. You might as well just hand your thing way back in as a Celtic fan if you're fleecing a fellow Celtic fan. So then the question has to be, you know, if there's a lot of tickets being given to the corporate side that Celtic are forced to give to UEFA and whatever, and if these tickets are coming from them, then surely we should be doing stuff and be more proactive to shut that down. And heaven forbid, I mean, the scam of scams, Thomas Cook selling tickets like they did for Old Firm games previously, where they packaged it in with a hotel and sold it for 300. I've not heard anything like this happening for the Juve game, or is that happening yet at all? You know,
I've not, to be honest, mate. I've not stuck my nose into it. But I mean, obviously, the further we got into the competition, I mean, what happens if we get to Wembley? It's like civil war again. Folk try to get tickets. I mean, I haven't really saw one again. I was just happy to be there. You know, so the further we go on in Europe, and you've got, I don't know, 48,000 season ticket holders, etc., at Celtic Park, and they're all going to get seats into Wembley if we go there, you know. So there's just a sign, I'm just enjoying the games, mate, and seeing how it goes, pal, you know.
Oh, man, I know, but you've got to dream, mate. It's good dreaming, mate, and that's why I think we've got a decision to make here. And if Hooper, I wish Hooper would take the money on offer, and that makes me lead with Celtic. I think Celtic have thrown their cards on the table by saying that, with Lenny saying that, look, take the money. Celtic are wanting to take the money because then they can squeeze more money when teams come a-shouting. But if a team is desperate, they know, like Liverpool, to try to maybe get somebody in who can put the ball in the net, then
But Tommy, you look at the best team in Europe for it at the moment. I think, is it Porto? They've made something like £300 million.
But reselling, yeah.
The reselling players. Now, listen, that boy signed and he trial ball. He was down at Reading last year, etc. And he's signed for Celtic, and he's basically, hopefully, going to go into the first team. I've got no problem with a guy coming up with an agenda, signing a 4-year deal with us, having a couple of years, maybe 2 or 3 years, and then moving on. The club gets some money, and we reinvest, and we build the club up, and hopefully. My dream would be that it subsidises people's season tickets and the cost of going to football comes down a bit. I mean, use a man. How can Bayern Munich, who charge £12 a game, afford Pep Guardiola?
Because they're running their club the way that we should be running it. So the temporary custodians, if you're listening, get your fingers out, because once the fans take over the club the way it is in Barcelona and Bayern Munich, where it's owned exclusively by the fans, and there's a ruling in German football, the Bundesliga, that the club has to be owned a certain percentage by the fans, and this way that we've got just now, I'm never going to be happy with until we get the model where it's fans who are the permanent custodians.
How refreshing was it though to see Guardiola going there, and Sky made it out as if, oh my goodness, it's a shock. Guardiola's been learning. Well, Abramovich was told about 10 weeks ago that Guardiola was learning German. So Roman knew what was going to happen and never said anything. But you look at, obviously, that boy was going to go to Reading, he's came to Celtic. That's a slap in the teeth for the English Premier League. I mean, they've just actually. It's just broke maybe in the last hour and a half that's the News International Corporation have bought the rights to show all the goals for all the English games probably a few seconds after they've actually happened. So, as I say, it's interesting times, mate. No, I mean, reference football and that, and as I say, when things like the Bosman came out, I was very aggrieved that we lost. We were one of the first clubs when we lost John Collins, but it's meant that we've been able to get guys like Joe Ledley, we've got guys like Adam Matthews, so it's yin and yang, it's balanced itself out. But as I say, I'd like to. It's going to be. It's hard if we keep Cooper. Great, and he can go in the summer. If he wants to go, sell him, because I'd rather play with somebody that wants to play with us up front instead of somebody that thinks they're doing us a favour. Maybe he's bigger than the striptease, you know what I mean?
Oh, you're damn too. No, I mean, I'm caught in between it. If it means we've got to lose them, then I will say la vie. It's going to dampen our chances if we had any realistic chances to get to Wembley, unless Watt steps up to the plate, or Lasad steps into the plate, or the Miku, the Rang Miku that we signed. We should have went for that Miku that went to Swansea.
He's just signed an extended deal today with Swansea. Yeah. But no, actually, I'm quite disappointed with Norwich, mate. And as I say, with Celtic with our signings, it's alright. It's frustrating as fans with the rumour and all, but it's good for starving the Scottish media on the fact that when we project what we've done at Celtic, announce it, have call a press conference here, we've signed this guy. There's no more leaks or anything, or what's coming and what's going. So they're very positive, mate. And hopefully hopefully get along to Hampden on Sunday and support the boys and just get geared up for Juve coming to town.
Aye, cheap prices, £15 adult, £5 Wayne's, Hampden in the freezing cold sun.
What's the score with the old that Central FM after the interview with Jabba, mate? I've blackballed him and all.
I've not been near it either, mate. I never even listened to the one with Jabba. I half listened to it, but I've not been near him. But who knows? I mean, now that you mentioned it, I'm finishing up the show soon anyway. I might go and get a listen to it when I'm driving along and get him off. Oh, here, there's actually the Hail Hail Media's. There's one of the. There's somebody there in Hail Hail Media's got a show on 98 point thing with FM. Can you believe it? A community station out in Barhead.
Fair play. So that's
the way forward, mate. Getting onto the FM frequency, but they boys have done it. They actually got an interview with Gary Ogg going down. I was going to cut the time we short at 7 o'clock anyway, but you've took me over, mate. So we're going to finish anyway, mate. Once I finish your call, that'll be me. I might do a wee show later on. But listen, tune in later on, mate. You've been a gentleman for joining me as usual, my man. You've been a wonderful, good brother for helping me out.
If I don't talk to you, there's a Homeboys Australian edition
Friday.
10 o'clock on Friday morning, and hopefully, I think you mentioned it in the show, there's going to be an interview with somebody who knows about the new signing Tom Rosey. It's one of the scouting party out in Australia or something, so there's a 10-minute interview with them. Will be worth listening into.
And I get the claim that I could have been I could have been the first person in Scottish soil to shake that boy's hand in Lennoxtown.
I'm glad you never said shake his Tadger after you.
Shake my Tadger, I never shaked his Tadger, no. No, that's slander here, you're getting banned.
You end up George Square with that promos.
Yeah, here, you're getting, that's it, you're banned for life until the next time.
Alright, Harry Christer, you scamper.
Harry Carpenter, yeah man, crackpot. Bishop Briggs, Postle, Fleetwood Rule, fuck your Castle Monkey.
You're at it, you scamper.
Right, arrivederci. Right, sorry for that bad language here at the end, shocking, isn't it? Can't take these Castle Monkeys anywhere. They're always trying to get us postal boys into trouble. Right, I'm Oski, 86 minutes, we're finishing in 88. 88 minutes, we're finishing in 88. In memory of Gary Hooper, born in 1988. What's this? Hold on, let's see whose message is it. Going to be Tommy, Celtic Dreams doing a show at 8:30, Celtic Dreams, there you go. You can't whack it. The Celtic family, we step up to the plate. We're all over the place, doing our own bit. Entertaining, education and entertainment for our fellow Celtic fans, free of charge, gratis, on the house, there you go. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. You had dumplings in the MSM. We've got going down, we can do what we want. Yous are just zombies. So there we go. Join Billy Noel, the Quadrophenians. That's on Friday night down in Wishaw. Join Celtic Dreams at 8:30. I'm away to try and tune into Gary Ogg, who is on with some boys in Hail Media. Was it the 90-minute Cynics? 90-minute Cynics, that's who it is, aye. So I'm away to try and tune into them. So hail, speak to you all soon, God bless. I'll try and do a wee show later on, I get some free time. Until the next time, keep it real. And we'll play out with a good friend, Billy Noel. They are zombies.
Zombies. When you think of Murray Shite, then he brought in Craigie White. Then with Duff and Phelps deceiving, Charlie Green had you believing. The Acumen, they are zombies. Our hearts are beating, their eyes are stone cold. God and Jam are looking for an answer.
Racist fat bastards.
Slug. You gotta let them know we are human. They are zombies. Our hearts are beating, their eyes are cold, and we watch the beat looking for an answer. We are human. They are cancers. Zombie chances. We are human. There's zombie chances. We are human. There's zombie chances.